and gentlemen,
Good morning!
Welcome to Good Morning Wrestling with your host Samuel Lyon on the Sports Jedi Network Heel of the Ring podcast, your morning fix on the world of pro wrestling. WWE Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, AEW, Evolve, MLP with hot takes, reviews, rumors, opinions. Tune in, let's start your day by getting over and feel the force.
Please hit the like button, share and subscribe to our channel. Watch along with live wrestling events on Heel of the Ring playback app. Follow Samuel Lyon at SamuelEkPay7 on the X app.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Good Morning Wrestling. I am sitting in for the host, Samuel Lyons, who couldn't make it this morning. I hope Samuel had to do a few things, but I'm in the founder and one of the co-creators of the Sports Jedi Network Heel of the Ring podcast, BX Sports Jedi Kev, saying good morning, buenos dias, buongiorno. Let's get right into it. Let's talk a little bit about wrestling here. It is the world of professional wrestling. Good morning wrestling, whether you're getting ready to go to work, ready to start the weekend, getting ready for a Friday Night SmackDown from Chicago. You know, the Second City Saint, CM Punk gets his main event, and I want to talk to the wrestling community. Let's talk. It's a two-way talk, whether you're on X, whether you're on Rumba, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Instagram, whether you are on Twitch. Please reach out. I want to talk to people. I want to hear you guys. I want to hear your thoughts. This is a show from a fan to a fan, talking about professional wrestling on your way, getting ready for the morning, for your morning routine or your day of work, or taking the kiddos to school, or you're the young ones that are getting ready to go to school. Make sure you get your education going on, get ready, pick up, be a sponge, learn everything from your teachers, and let's talk some professional wrestling while you're ready for work or on your ready for school. We got a lot of things to talk about. I actually wanted to start a little bit, change of gears, instead of getting into the WWE and going right into Friday Night SmackDown. I want to talk about the brackets for All Elite Wrestling. Yes, I'm going to start it with All Elite Wrestling, the Jedi who doesn't really drink or subscribe to the AEW cup of coffee. But I wanted to look at the Owen Hart bracket, since now we have the competitors and we have the wrestlers for the Owen Hart tournament. Now you could talk about the Owen Hart tournament. You could comment, and who do you like and who do you think will come out of this year? A lot of people are speculating that this tournament is predictable, that All Elite Wrestling is extremely predictable, that all this narrative and all this mumbo jumbo coming out of it. But if you're getting a Will Ospreay, Kevin Knight immediately out of the gate, I mean, let me ask this question, wrestling community. Kevin Knight was the biggest signing for AEW currently right now, that they felt like they took Kevin Knight away from the WWE. WWE had a lot of interest in Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight, very, very talented individual who could wrestle. I think WWE wanted to hone into another skill set from Kevin Knight and see if there's a marketable star with his promos and all that stuff. But he decided to go to All Elite Wrestling. But his first match with Will Ospreay, is that something that, if you're a casual wrestling fan or a casual AEW fan or an AEW fan that really been watching All Elite Wrestling and is 100% behind All Elite Wrestling, and you get this newcomer in Kevin Knight into a tournament for your top prize of the World Championship, yet you don't place him, you put him right in the tournament, an opportunity to win or has a chance to go after that, your biggest prize in the company. Where I got to ask this question, where's Maxwell Jacob Freeman? You know, we talk about wanting his triple B. And this is a tournament that if you win where the best wrestle, right? The company monikers is where the best wrestle, yet one of your best wrestlers isn't in your tournament. You have to ask, you got to have to start asking these questions. And you've been in a newcomer from the street in to participate in this tournament. Where's the disconnect? This is where the company production wise or story wise line gets a lot of backlash. They get a lot of backlash from the wrestling community, the IWC and folks, and isn't really deserved, because I understand what AEW's mission statement to give you the best wrestling each and every Wednesday night, Saturday night, and occasionally when they do their pay-per-views, to give you the best quality where you're like, damn, that was good stuff. Man, those guys, those performers really went out there and performed and entertained us. But when you don't back that entertainment value or your in-ring entertainment value with just simple logic that people would ask these days, where we're in a society that everyone is a contrarian, regardless of the fact. And let's be honest, everyone wants to be a contrarian. If I tell you the sky is blue, you're telling me it's white. If I telling you it's sunny, no, it's partly cloudy. And when you have this where you want to try to limit the contrarians, you don't put Maxwell Jacob Freeman, one of your top wrestlers, in this tournament. Again, I'm gonna put the bracket back up. I got the men's and women here. I understand, and again, another one who hasn't really deserved a chance to be in the conversation of this tournament. Again, you like underdogs, you like folks that could win the impossible. Mark Briscoe, you know, he 0 hour talent, you know, hasn't really wrestled for a big major title besides the Ring of Honor championships. You place a Mark Briscoe there, and I understand you need a tournament for guys to take pins and not to job out, but to put a great match and help the winner of the tournament of that match, when they advance into this tournament, tell a story about, wow, he beat a tough wrestler, and the journey, the climb to the mountain has to be something where you're going to get emotionally invested and rally behind that said wrestler. But to put a Mark Briscoe, Kyle Fletcher, makes me also wonder what happened to the love and what happened to Adam Cole. You know, why is Adam Cole not in this tournament over Mark Briscoe? That's another one here. So you have Maxwell Jacob Freeman not in this tournament. You don't have MJF. You don't have Adam Cole. And then this wild card. Does he has to always do this every time? It's like he's copy and pasting, lazy booking, or just rinse and repeat. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's like, you know, it was cute the first few times. It's cute once in a blue moon. But when you go to it, it becomes a crutch. And this is a crutch when you just had it a couple of weeks ago with Speedball Mike Bailey being a wild card. All you're doing is trying to get a reaction, a pop from a few 250,000 in attendance at that moment, and maybe a 15-minute internet retweets of your wild card. So is it going to be? So you're going to bring in Josh Alexander into the company as your wild card, and everybody's going to go, oh, and Tony Schiavone is going to go on commentary and wet his pants. He's here. Oh, Josh Alexander. I mean, guys, really? Is that the cheap pop that you really want? Or do you want to just announce that you're going to have, you're going to have, what happened to you couldn't even put Bobby Lashley in this tournament, where you're like, oh, damn, I know he's in a world title and the tag team title picture. But if you're telling me you're putting a Bobby Lashley in this tournament, you're like, oh, or all that I hear about from everyone, Sheldon Benjamin could wrestle. Sheldon Benjamin is one of the top-notch wrestlers in all professional wrestling. He could still go. He could still do this. He could still do that. Yet you don't place them. You do not place them in this tournament. All this love affair and all this glazing that they have, and neither one of these two wrestlers is in this tournament. And yes, Tenoshi Kashina definitely belongs in this tournament. Brody King, even I could even put a name for Brody King. I know you need guys to take a pin, but if you want to make the Owen Hart where you're your best of your company, fighting for that opportunity to wrestle in your biggest show in Arlington, Texas, and you put those guys, no disrespect to you gentlemen that are in this tournament, but you want it. This is supposed to be the elite of the elite, and I'm gonna bring this back up again because I'm sorry that I keep bringing back and forth, but I want to show the names. I want to make a point on the disconnect that this company has with their fans and the backlash it puts himself in the crosshairs. Where is Okada, your big free agent? Okada, who hasn't done anything really, just hold on a title and help a lot of young kids learn how to say a profanity word in bitch. That's it. If you're asking me, give me sum up Okada's AEW run so far. He's a bitch. That's it. That's all. Why isn't Kishin Okada in this? Oh no, because you're setting up for Kenny Omega or Okada. But you know what? That's the issue with the company. It telegraphs or it's so predictable with their storylines and where they're going in direction. This is why the pay-per-views do so well, because people know the prediction of the matches that are coming in the pay-per-view. Why bother watching the weekly episodic television? Why watch on Wednesdays where right now it's NBA postseason, NHL postseason, whether you're a fan of the sport or not, or just life in general? Why am I going to watch the product on a Wednesday when I know that I'll just invest in the pay-per-view? They're going to put on a banger. I'm going to get my money's worth, 15 matches long. And I know I'm going to get that. I know that that's the match they're going for, and I'll just see it there. I'll catch it down the road. They don't do storylines anyway, so I won't watch on Wednesdays. I'll wait for the pay-per-view, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll see, because we know Kenny Omega and Okada is happening, but put some interest in your story, put them in this tournament. Even if you could find creative ways of saying that they didn't advance in these tournaments. If you're telling me you're going to have Will Ospreay, let's say you want to put Will Ospreay and another wrestler, Adam Cole. Okay, you got Kyle Fletcher. If they're really pushing him to the moon, give me all of a sudden he's with Tenoshi Kashina in one round and so forth. You could do a different thing. Adam Page, MJF, they left meat on the bone there because I think a lot of people wanted to see MJF and Adam Page or Adam Cole, even Adam Cole. If there's so many names. What happened? Ricochet. You brought this Ricochet in from the WWE. You immediately, if Will Ospreay is good enough to be in the Owen Hart tournament, and Ricochet is supposed to be a wrestler on that kind of level, why isn't Ricochet in this tournament? Tell me why. Because there is nothing important at Ricochet currently right now. He finished his program up with Swerve. That's done. He's not. Why is he not in this tournament? He's the guy that you brought in here, free agent. That's the issue. That's the disconnect that the wrestling community has with All Elite Wrestling. That's the flaws. That's the issues. No consistency or follow-up to anything they do week to week. Oh, they have the light of the Men in Black. They want you to totally get blinded and don't even think about what happened last week. Make it make a little bit of sense, AEW, because you're bleeding followers out of the door. You're losing them. Regardless, I don't care what you say, what lies or what fabrications you say about the HBO Max numbers. That's all bullshit. You're not getting that big number because here's the reason why. The owner of the company isn't gloating. He is the worst humble. He is not humble. He is a gloating SOB. He's a billionaire who likes to flaunt that he is arrogant schmuck. And if his numbers were inflated, he would be going all over Twitter. That's why he had the nickname Toady Twitter Fingers, because he couldn't help himself saying how great the numbers are. If the numbers were that great, this guy would be tweeting and letting us know about it. The numbers, and I'm not saying the numbers are terrible either. I think the numbers are what they are. They're fair for his company. And they've got viewership. they're generating some type of reaction, which I think for Warner Brothers Discovery is good enough for them to have live programming on their channel. They don't want to also seem like they're bleeding out live program content now that the NBA is leaving them in a couple at the end of the season and so forth. They don't want to now, oh, we even lost professional wrestling. That's why you hear the reports that they're okay with the numbers. They're not looking at the numbers. They want some live sports. So when they try to go after other live sports, yes, we have wrestling, we have this and that. That's all it is. That's my opinion. Again, that's my opinion. Thought it's not to take anything negative on the company, because I still think if you put this tournament of wrestlers in, you could have a hell of a tournament with the names and the performers in the match. I'm going to give you the women's bracket. I got the women's together with the men. All right, in this bracket, you see Julia Hart. That's your former CBS champion, I guess Mercedes Moné in that tournament. All right, that's a good matchup for her. Athena, where everyone's darling, great. But here's the one I have a little bit of disconnect is Harley Cameron. I think there should have been a spot where Harley Cameron should have been pulled away from this one. I would have liked on the other side of the bracket somewhere somehow. It could have been easily. You could have had Serena Deeb. Give a Serena Deeb Athena match where Athena looks like she had to go to a struggle with a great in-ring talent in Serena Deeb versus Athena. Then you're like, damn, getting her prepared for what's next for her. This is like a game of Mortal Kombat, this tournament. Just think of this way. Every boss or every level, every person, every fighter you beat to go up to the main before you get to Goro, you got to get seasoned. And what happens? You put Serena Deeb, who's nicknamed the Professor, to prepare her against Mercedes Moné. Well, isn't that a great storyline, ladies and gentlemen? Here's the story. So Athena had to fight a hard-fought battle against the Professor Serena Deeb, where Serena Deeb stretched and put false finish, and really put her to the brink of testing her wrestling skills. Now, does that clinic, does that fire purify her enough to beat a Mercedes Moné in this tournament? Now you have a story where Athena could just get a victory over Mercedes Moné in this tournament. And now you're setting up that Mercedes can't sit comfortable, can't sleep at night, because she has to get that revenge on Athena. Even though she didn't lose none of her 4 belts or her 4 titles, but she lost to Athena on AEW, and Athena has that one thing that no one has given the women in that company, her a loss, and she needs that. She wants that. She desires that. She's willing to put up all her 4 belts just to get another crack at Athena. Well, you know what that's called? Interesting storyline. And I just did this right now when I'm sipping my cup of coffee. That's it. Simple. And now you're invested. If this tournament is all about Mercedes Moné and getting that Owen tournament, or setting up Athena and even if it's Athena Mercedes that they're setting up for Texas, that's a way of getting people invested. Now, Billy Starks, I don't think Billy Starks deserves or needs to be in this tournament neither, because all we saw her come up to Mercedes Moné and take a loss on Dynamite. How is that giving her privilege and honor to go after and call her shot literally at the title, winning the Owen and getting into the All In? It doesn't resonate to me either for Billy Starks to be in there. No disrespect for Billy Starks. You probably are you are a good wrestler. But we want to make it to make sense. It's not shitting. It's not making you look bad or saying that we don't want to see you. Is that we want to make sure that there's some consistency. Again, I could put for each one of these women that are in this bracket, other than Harley Cameron and Billy Starks. And it's not because you're inexperienced, ladies. Is that Harley? I remember the last time I saw you lost when you had your opportunity. You lost to Tony Storm, and Billy, you lost to Mercedes. That's why I don't think you deserve to be in the tournament right now. Jamie Hayter is the former world champion who went out of injury, deservedly so. Chris Statlander is a made woman in AEW, if you ask me. With beating Jade Cargill and a former TBS champion. Of course, Thunder Rosa, the world champion, and never got her title rematch. And of course, she, what she could do. Okay, I'm okay with those women in that tournament. But in order for Billy Starks, Willow Nightingale, why isn't Willow Nightingale Ready Abel or Britt Baker, who was a former Owen Hart winner, champion winner, not doing anything here. That's a great time. If Tony Khan would have put a wild card in a woman, he didn't do. Why come he doesn't do the wild card in the women's division? Because it's predictable. He doesn't have a new coming women in there. This is where Megan Bain should have been debuted, or Megan Bain should have been in this tournament rather than being fed to Tony Storm. This is where Megan Bain would have looked like an obstacle, and holy crap, she went out and win the Owen. And then in the finals, when it's Mercedes and Athena, they could just have a no contest where you could even, in a cheap way, Megan Bain would have went into the Texas show as your Owen Hart winner by default, and have Athena and Mercedes really want to go after each other into it. And I don't know, storyline wise, something that you would get invested. That's all we ask. Make it make sense to the wrestling community, week to week and down the road. If you could, again, I say this many times, predictability is nothing wrong with it. It's okay to be predictable, but how do you get to that predictability? As a wrestling fan, that's what we want. We know it's going to be, we know that tomorrow, and we know at 7:45 or 8 o'clock tonight, the sun is going down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's predictable. But you know what? We don't know what's going to happen throughout the course of the day. I might buy a scratch off and I might hit the lotto. I might find a piece of gold on the floor. God protect me. I might get into a car accident. I might stop breathing. We don't know, but we know at the end. But the predictability is that the sun is going to go down at 8 o'clock. And when it comes to professional wrestling, it's okay if it's predictable. But how do we get to that predictability? Is us as a fans want to get in. We want to strap in, put on our seatbelts, and get in that ride. If it makes sense, we want to get in that ride to get into and follow and take it on that journey. So let's see what this Owen Hart tournament brings out. I think it's going to help the company. I don't think it's going to be a negative. I don't see it as a net negative for All Elite Wrestling with this tournament. I again, regardless of the fact if you agree or disagree with the contestants, they're going to work their ass off. All those wrestlers are going to work their butts off. They're going to be really strong. They're going to be really good. They're going to entertain the wrestling community. But all we want, I think, at least for myself, I'm not a fan. Again, that's not my cup of coffee, All Elite Wrestling. But I hear the complaints, and I said, let me dissect and let me see what's the complaint, the ire of the IWC, and that's the inconsistency in that. We'll move on. We got Dynasty. Well, of course, that's when the Owen Hart tournament kicks off. We got the Dynasty card here. In here are the matches so far announced. We know in about another 12 hours total, we're gonna add. They're gonna be probably another 8 matches added to this card, because let's face it, Khan gives his fans their money's worth. The folks that pay the $49.99 in the United States, they get their money's worth. They get a long day of professional wrestling for All Elite Wrestling. And look, some people, I think majority, I think it's a 60-40 split when it comes to the pay-per-views of the length. I think 60% of the wrestling community enjoys the length of the card, and I think there's a 40% of the community that doesn't. So let's agree to disagree on that number. You make your own assessment on there. Let's start here. Your Mercedes Moné versus Julia Hart. That's part of the tournament matchup. I'm glad that they're putting that. Kevin Knight and Will Ospreay, another tournament matchup. You could agree or disagree. So that these matches in the tournament be on Dynamite or on Collision. That's up to you. That's up to the booker if he wants to put that there. But the one that's very compelling with a little bit with some storylines behind it, believe it or not. Yeah, storylines. It's the Death Rider and Rated FTR. We've seen Dash and Wheeler not on the same type of eye level together with one another. Cope, and we're seeing a little dissension, a little bit of an edginess. I know everybody's talking about the $10,000 that was given to the referee on TV. The referee looked like he took a bribe, but it was because he paid the fine, all that stuff. You could dissect that, but it's a storyline. The trios champion, the Death Riders, everyone doesn't like this story. Everyone thinks the story is terrible. Where they don't have an end game because they don't see the predictability. That's a very unpredictable storyline that doesn't really connect the dots or dot the T or cross the I's. I said it backwards. I know. That's why I meant to say it backwards, because that's what the storyline with the Death Riders is, a little backwards. I think here we're going to see something that is borrowed from the other company. I think FTR is going to stay together, and I think they're going to be the heels. But if I was All Elite Wrestling, I would turn it around where it's Edge being the heels on FTR, saying you guys are not going to screw me. I've been screwed already by, and it doesn't have to say Judgment Day. I already been screwed and removed out of a group prior before coming here. I've been turned by my best friend. I am not going to get turned by my neighbors. Something, and it's not gonna. It's something along those lines. If I'm there, I'm the one. And Adam Copeland, would he join Moxley? I don't think it should be there. I think it's more Christian. Everybody wants to see Christian at Edge together. But if they are going to do that, Christian and Edge, they have to be heels. I think Adam Cope has to be a heel. I think the babyface thing, folks don't like. He's already got a lot of negativity with his way he's not wanting pins. Reports are that he doesn't want to take pins. He didn't want to take pin in the last match. He has creative booking control, which he tries to debunk it. But me personally, I will have Adam Cope be the heel here and turn heel on rated FTR. Like instead of and a reverse New Day situation where we didn't expect Cope, we expect the rated FTR or Dash, just to leave and just leave them alone and just become the heel and totally abandon him but we'll see what happens there. What do you guys think? I think that's the B1. I think that's a storyline. That's an interesting one coming out of this pay-per-view. We know something is going to happen. There's going to be a turn or some sort, but you know what? How do we get there? I go back to that same point I just made a couple of minutes ago. How do we get there in that predictability? I want to see that. I want to be intrigued. Take me on the ride. I'm strapped in. Take me on that ride. Look, we all know Space Mountain. If you've been to Disney World, you know that Space Mountain is about a minute long, 90 seconds long. But you still get on that ride because you want that euphoria, that excitement of that ride. Take me on that ride. Put me on that exciting journey. That's what we ask here. And we know the in-ring will do it. But tell me a story with that in-ring. Here's a match that I don't know if this one could have been a main event for a Collision. Is Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole. Is this the where they pull the trigger and Adam Cole takes this title? Do the Undisputed Elite matter? Do they get the push, the opportunities with Adam Cole holding some gold? Does Adam Cole come out of this match uninjured? Basically, that's the first question. Secondly, does it win the title? What does that do for Daniel Garcia? What does that do? What did this match do for either one of these two competitors? I'm asking this question because you could easily been on a main event on your Saturday show or on your Wednesday show, but they're going to put on a good match. I'm pretty sure that the entrance for Daniel Cole Baby is going to go over in Philadelphia. That's going to look good on television. The fans will get invested. They'll go bananas. We'll see how that match goes with Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole. Personally, who do I have? Let me give you my predictions. Mercedes Moné will beat Julia Hart. I think they'll put on a really good match. I think Mercedes will be the ring general that will, and I think Julia, at her inexperienced age and a very young, good wrestler at her age, will follow the match with Mercedes. And I think we're going to be like, wow, that was a really good women's match. I don't think it's going to be a squash for Mercedes. She's going to put some work in the ring. Julia's going to follow, and the ladies are going to, again, entertain us in this match. Kevin Knight, Will Ospreay. This is a match where it's going to be one of these matches where you're either going to love it or you're going to roll your eyes on all the jungle gymnastic stuff that Will Ospreay and Kevin Knight gives you. And this is a match that is up to your cup of coffee. What type of match? What kind of wrestling fan are you now in 2025? Are you a traditional wrestler that wants to see collar elbow tie-ups, story match, or you want to be the oohs and ahs and holy crap moment? And whoa, those guys are, Circus Soleil of wrestling. That's up to you guys. You guys determine that, but we all know Ospreay should win. Although I got Chris on my channel, the Heel in the Ring podcast, likes Kevin Knight in the upset. I think Will Ospreay wins. This looks like it's going to be an Ospreay Owen Hart win for him. And I think that's the way this tournament. But again, tell me the story in this bracket. Tell me how the struggle that Will Ospreay is going to have to get and win that tournament. We'll see. We'll move my other for the Death Riders versus Rated FTR. I got the Death Riders keeping their trios title. No way, no how. I don't see them losing those trios titles to Rated FTR when they're not all on the same page. They all are not seeing eye to eye. There's some dissension, some doubt, some issues that haven't worked out for them. So I see the Death Riders winning their trios title. Daniel Garcia, Adam Cole. I like a new TBS champion in Adam Cole. I think the reign of Daniel Garcia is over. He's signed and delivered with AEW for the next few years. The title was a push as a thank you for not going to NXT. So we'll put this title on you now. You know, I'm going to yank it off of you now because you're not really elevating that title. The title feels like a irrelevant title. He looks like one of the people sitting on the Performance Center on the bus heading to NXT. With you see all our friends sitting there with titles on their shoulders going to the wrestling event. That's what Daniel Garcia looks like. All right, we'll get to this matchup. A really, really important, really, really interesting one here. The AEW Women's title, Megan Bayne versus Toni Storm. Megan Bayne, in a short time in the company being billed, has been presented as this obstacle, glamazon, this big, larger-than-life opponent for Toni Storm. But I felt that this feud between Toni Storm and Megan Bayne, it feels like it feels more like it's Penelope Ford. You know, you saw Toni biting the lip of Penelope Ford, doing all these different things. Although Megan Bayne gets that pin in the tag team match with Thunder Tits. I like Toni Storm to win this match, but I won't be surprised if Penelope Ford turns on Megan Bayne, which doesn't make sense. But I think they're trying to protect, one, Megan Bayne, and two, Toni Storm's title reign. I don't know. I want to see how that gets told in this story. I got to see where, Penelope Ford's influence or interference. What does that do, though? I think this match is going to be a good match, but I think we're going to be scratching our heads. What next? Because if Megan Bayne loses cleanly to Toni Storm, Megan Bayne just becomes another example of Toni Storm not able to book a big person. When I mean big person, like a Brody King, like a Warlord, like Lance Archer, now Chris Stafflander. He's gonna fall into that stereotype where there is a lot of rhyme and reasoning to his booking. What happens to Megan Bayne, dude? And I don't think Tony has the gall. Tony Khan has the gall, the stones to actually put that AEW World title on Megan Bayne. Megan Bayne could win that title and hold it on to Double or Nothing, and Toni Storm could chase. And I think she'll be compelling on the microphone and tell stories and get everyone going ooh and ah with her promos, chasing Megan Bayne's title. But I don't think they'll pull that. I will be pleasantly surprised if they do that, but I don't think they'll do it. I still think Toni Storm wins this matchup. We'll go into a match, a little bit of a odd way of booking. It's going to be a great matchup. It's Ricochet, Kenny Omega, and Speedball Mike Bailey. Speedball coming into the company in his third match has an opportunity to win gold, AEW International Championship. I'm going to go on this here. I'm going to say this. Everyone's complaining Mike Speedball getting a title shot, or how are you going to make him not, how are you going to have him lose in his third match in there and against Omega? Omega looks like he's being fed these two. Tony don't know who's going to take the pin, who's going to lose. Is it going to be Ricochet? Is it going to be Speedball? Here's the one thing I would love to hear Speedball on in a promo say something. That's why he signed with All Elite Wrestling. He was there not to fiddle around, not to be fiddling around and catering, but to go out there and win gold, win international gold, be an internationally recognized superstar. He's well known internationally, but he wants to be well known as an international star, champion. And by winning the international championship, it's a pin on a step of global domination. Simple. Speedball says that. You forget about that. It's his third match. That's why he signed in All Elite Wrestling. That's why he had opportunities to go other company or stay another and be a franchise. And you could take a little bit of shot at Moose Or I could stay in the same place I was and try to be call myself a franchiser, but no, I want to expand my brand. Simple. And Speedball says something like that, and you're like, oh damn, Speedball now becomes, and he's not even saying Moose taking shots, but if you know. And now Mike Speedball has a little personality. You're like, oh, and I'm not saying he doesn't, but you want him to have that edge, and you kind of take away that stigma. Oh, third match in, he's already. All right, so we apologize for having that issues. We had power outage. So for some reason, we have a thunderstorm here. So they're fixing the streets out of they're doing a lot of construction in the Central Florida Orlando area, and somebody might have taken the power out. We have battery backup. For some reason, it just turned everything off, and the battery backup kicked in. So we had a technical difficulties. I'll get my camera up and running. Hopefully, everyone can hear me on the wrestling show. It's just the weirdest thing. This happens crazy because it happens to Samuel out there in Lagos, and now it's happening to me here in Orlando. It's just like something wants to say, "Don't do the morning show." That's what it kind of seems like. But you know what? We'll persevere, and we'll truck through it. Of course, that's how we roll here on the Sports Jedi Network. So I was talking about these Mike Speedball Bailey. And him making his promos. Hopefully everyone can hear me. And of course, let me know if you can't, or if so hopefully anyone out there on YouTube, please let me know if you're not hearing my voice. I'm working on the camera in a second. We'll get the camera back up and running. It's just one of these crazy types of mornings, back and forth. And again, I don't know why it's trying to turn on as I get myself back on for a moment. Okay, now I should be back on. Let me thank you so much. Get rid of that echo. All right, so I am back on. Let me get this going. So welcome again This is when you're live, pal, and things happen when you're live. What's up? I'm back up again. I don't know. Power just went boop. I don't know what the hell happened there. If it was either surge or someone took the power off because they're changing light poles and they're turning into LED poles, street light poles, or maybe someone power went out, but never happens to me there. But we'll move on. Let's truck through it. Again, we're going back onto the card of All Elite Wrestling Dynasty, Ricochet, Speedball Bailey. I think the winner of this one will be Kenny Omega. How they tell that story, would it be a double pin where Omega lifts, when he has a double pin and all of a sudden Omega shoulders the one shoulder that's up, or he's the pin, he wins, something on that sort of way, or is there a storyline that comes out of this where we see another intricate or another person get involved in the match where interferes Don Callis, something along the line, and Omega's like puzzled. We don't know. We'll see how that goes there. Here's the one that everyone's talking about. Everyone wants to know about the Death Riders leader, John Moxley versus Swerve Strickland. The only thing I got to ask, guys, this question. Is Moxley actually going to show the AEW World title? Is that title going to be shown before the referee rings the bell? Is that title going to be taken out of the briefcase, the backpack, and shown for the wrestling world, your audience that are buying the pay-per-view to see that? That's the question first and foremost I'm asking. I want to see that first. Now, this match could go many ways. Could we get an interference? It's going to get convoluted. Everyone, and for all the AEW fans that complain about Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline, so many interference. There's always this. There's always referee bumps. Stop me where you see the same exact semblance in a John Moxley match. John Moxley is just pretty much copy and pasting the blueprint of Roman Reigns. Referee bump, the Bloodline run-in, and this was the Death Riders run-in. To me, this is him. I don't know if he's ribbing that storyline or borrowing from that. I could see where the referee might get a bump. Then here comes Wheeler Useless. Here comes the cardio, Castelloni. Here's Pac. Here's this, Marina Shafina. Swerve, I don't know. Then we might have a chase away by Willow Nightingale, who might come out with a neck brace, might come not. Prince Nana, what the hell's going on? They'll beat up Nana, whatever the case is. At the end of the day, I think John Moxley retains his title. I know wrestling fans must be cringy right now. They must have been spitting their coffee or upset or, not paying attention. Flip your pancakes before they burn. And I think John Moxley wins this. I think John Moxley wins and holds on to the All Elite Wrestling World Champion. For Swerve, I'm going to say this. If you're a Swerve Strickland fan, it's not a bad thing. It's not. I'm going to tell you why. If Swerve becomes your AEW World Champion in April, you're telling me you're okay with him holding the title as a transitional champion for the second time? So then, to me, I think Swerve, then even if Swerve wins it for 3 times, he's just going to be a 2 times transitional champion. I want when Swerve to be a champion to be meaningful. And if Swerve ever hears this and he disagrees, hey, we could agree to disagree, Swerve. I think you're better than just a transitional champion. That's my point. I don't think you should be no one's transitional champion. So with all the amount of smoke that you're speaking on podcasts about Booker T and about how WWE doesn't push the black talent, all that narrative that's going around with the IWC and the podcast, isn't this kind of a slap in the face as you being a transitional champion twice in a row? Because everyone knows that Will Ospreay, this is going to win it all out. It's, again, predictability. The sun comes out at night. The sun goes down at night and rises in the morning. Predictability, but tell me what happens throughout that day. And I don't want Swerve to be a transitional champion. I don't think he deserves to be a transitional champion. I think if Swerve is going to be world champion, he needs a good 9 to a year run. Although I know you could say AEW don't do those long title runs. All right, that's fine. They might not do the long title runs, but he deserves better for the next hype. I don't think he should have lost to Danielson, especially if you knew Danielson was on his way out. If Danielson was leaving, you should have not you should have not allowed Danielson to lose that title to Swerve. Swerve was the hottest thing in the company, where everybody was rallying behind him, and you kind of ushered him out. That's the only issue I have. And his title, where I hope he's not a transitional champion. I hope he sticks. If he beats Moxley, I hope that he beats him and all out. He stays your AEW champion. And then if you want to go, whatever, Wrestle Dream, or Wrestle Nightmare, then he could lose that there. Or wherever Tony has decided on for Swerve. I just don't want Swerve to be that transitional champion. So that's your dynasty. That's your All Elite Wrestling dynasty. We got let's go right into Friday Night SmackDown. CM Punk. It's a big one. Punk is going to be the first time in his hometown after being announced that he will be partaking in Night One's main event in the triple threat match with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. Interesting. Everybody remembers the last thing from SmackDown. You're gonna remember the last thing you saw from SmackDown was Punk saying, "But that's not the favor that I'm owed." Now that's going to be a big discussion point from everyone. What is the favor CM Punk is owed? You could speculate. Let's speculate. Let's talk about it. Let's see. What are your thoughts? What is that CM Punk favor he is looking for? I've got a couple theories. It might not be the sharpest. It might need some fine tuning. That's why I'm relying on you guys that are listening and watching me to tell me, help me along the lines, or give me your inputs, and let's try to work together in a creative or as a fandom. Let's fan fantasy book. Could it be Paul? It's all, and everyone knows it's centric around Paul Heyman. We all remember last year in the run to WrestleMania, you had the final boss and you had the tribal chief. We all remember Paul Heyman with two cell phones. Paul Heyman had two cell phones. One was in case the Roman Reigns, and the other one had the final boss casing or outer box, whatever you want to call it. One was, so he's kind of telling us one phone is the direct line to the final boss. The other direct line is to the final, or to the only tribal chief, Roman Reigns at that time. What if Punk wants to have the final boss put in Punk as a failsafe into the main event with Cody Rhodes, to make sure, to go hell bent that Cody Rhodes does not leave WrestleMania as your undisputed world champion, and putting an obstacle where if John Cena doesn't win, Punk gets that opportunity, and have a double match. Oh, wait a minute, your night isn't over. Now Punk's music hits, and Punk has a title match, because that's the favor Paul Heyman has, because he still has that connection to Rock. They never, maybe tonight on SmackDown they'll determine or establish what's the relationship between Roman Reigns and the final boss. Yes, I know they're family. We know that they're family. That's his cousin. But since Roman Reigns' return after that Ula Fala placing, we haven't heard anything with them interacting, or we haven't heard Roman Reigns' thoughts on John Cena align with his cousin. Remember, The Rock said some hard-hitting or cut vein quotes when he was recruiting Cody Rhodes, and he said, "I want you to be my champion." When he asked him for his soul, he did mention a lot of things. If you're a relative, or you're a family member, or you're a good confidant, like, wait a minute, I'm not good enough to be your champion. If you're Roman Reigns and you tell Cuz, I wasn't good enough to be your champion, why you didn't ask me? Why you didn't ask me to be your champion, your TKO champion? Why you didn't ask me to be the face of this? So there's a little dissension, if you get what I mean, because they're family. Why are you going for a stranger outside? Remember what Jacob Fatu says. He wants to bring gold to the family, pride to the family, the Samoa family, the Ananoli, remember the big tree, the bloodline tree line that they showed us. If I'm Roman, we haven't heard that from Roman, where he stands in the Roman Reigns final boss with John Cena. Is he okay with John Cena working with his cousin? Does he feel slighted that he isn't the one to be the Rock's grand champion? His, so those are questions I'm asking. Me personally, watching this and knowing about how family is, it's like, it's, like, yo, cuz, why you bringing, you have a, that I, cuz, I do. I'm going to use this as an example. I'm going to use my real life. Because I'm an electrician. I've been doing this for over 30 years. You open up an electrical company or you're doing remodeling your house. Why do you even call me to do the electrical work? You bought in a stranger. That's how you're going to feel. You're like, yo, cuz, I'm your first cousin. You didn't call me to do the electrical work. You don't trust me. I'm your cousin. I'm gonna actually do anything. I'm gonna do even better work because it's for you. That's the way. I'm gonna try to bring it to real life, and I'm wondering why Roman Reigns. I want to know what he has to say, where he stands, and I think that's where the Punk favor and all that other stuff is gonna come in. That's why I want to know if Heyman is gonna probably try to get and talk to The Rock and call him and put Punk as a, maybe that's or that along those the lines. I want to see that. I want to see Punk, but I don't want to. But then people's going to say, well, isn't Punk going to be a heel? Why would you make Punk a heel where right now everyone in the wrestling business loves him as this baby face? You're probably correct with that. Maybe that's a dilemma that the WWE creative has right now, that they don't know if, should they pull the trigger on a heel Punk? Because everyone thought that the heel run was going to be Cody Rhodes, and it ended up being CM Punk. That's the question they asked. We will find out in Chicago. I tell you one thing, that reception for CM Punk will be uber over. Now, I ask this question, wrestling community. Do you put that on first, opening up SmackDown? Does CM Punk open up the show? Is he the first one to come out to greet the fans and hear that Allstate Arena serenade his name and hear the CM Punk chants after coming away? That's going to be that's the first time the WWE is going to be in front of a U.S. audience. Does that kick off the show? Do Chicago, or does Chicago want to say, Europe, you were loud, you had your chance, hold my beer? Because this is Chicago, where people, you could argue, is the hotbed of professional wrestling. You could argue that Chicago crowd, any arena in Chicago, Illinois, is the hotbed of wrestling when it comes to fandom. And so it'll be interesting to see if WWE kicks off that. You could do it anyway. Kick it off with Punk or close the show with CM Punk. Build the anticipation of the crowd, waiting and exciting with, and doesn't take the air or the emotion out of the whole 3 hour. Remember, SmackDown's 3 hours. You don't want people to blow all their load in the beginning, where then the rest of the card, they're sitting on their hands because they got the euphoria. They already went through Space Mountain. They got their 90 seconds roller coaster. Now they don't want it. They're now you have them on the teacups. Now, if you know that, if you've ever been to Walt Disney World, you know what I mean. The Walt Disney World has Space Mountain, and of course the teacups, the famous teacups, and all that pageantry. You know what I mean. Do they go that route? Do they go that, or like some people say, do they open up with Detroit Rock City, or do they play the hits, or what? Because here's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to have people sit on their hands with the debut of Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix debuts. Don't know who is his mystery partner. I don't know if it's a match. I know Rey Fenix makes his debut. Do you kick that off? I will kick off for Rey Fenix. I will make the Punk main event close out. I want people waiting, anticipating on their, waiting with ants. Rey Fenix will get the crowd hyped because it's the new face in the WWE. Oh, it's Rey Fenix. And have him, if he's going to have a match, he could take his time having a match. The way Penta was introduced, if he has to cut a promo, you could go into the in-ring promo with the way they did with Penta on Netflix with Rey Fenix to give a mission statement of who he is and so forth, why he's in the WWE. And you could go off with Rey Fenix because the fans in Chicago will love that. I think I will go with Rey Fenix. And me personally, if I had the pencil, if I was booking, and probably would say, thank God you're not booking. So, I joke. But yes, I think that's the way I will go personally with that. With That being said, let's move on to something that's happening on what else is happening on SmackDown. We will definitely hear from Punk. I don't know if he's going to get interrupted. Don't know if Punk is going to get interrupted here. Maybe Paul Heyman might come out, and maybe he's going to want to know what is the favor that you want. Let's get this out and over with. Who knows? I know somewhere in the middle of the crossover hour, you're going to have the match between Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. That has to be your crossover match. That has to be one of your hours crossover from the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour, especially if it has something to do with Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. So I'm pretty sure they want to give that time. I'm pretty sure that's something that it could bleed into the backstage segment. I want to see what's going on with that, how they're going to bring Jacob and Solo. We already seen a little dissension. Does that hash over in that last man standing match? Does Solo Sikoa inadvertently hit Jacob Fatu to knock where he gets knocked out, where he cannot be the last man standing? Or does Jacob Fatu prevail by Solo Sikoa's help and not liking that he needed Sikoa's interjection to take down Braun Strowman? There's a good storyline there. We'll see where that goes. And another matchup, and this one, if you're on X, you heard a great passionate promo from B-Fab cutting on Naomi, talking about how she was. They looked up to her. They see what she went through, overcome, becoming a champion, and her disappointment, hitting Jade, attacking a fellow sister in the back, and all that. And this feels like B-Fab is fighting out of took it personal of a disappointment, and really wants to get her comeuppance on Naomi. And Naomi just proceed with caution, because she's out there now to kick everyone's ass and being this bad woman that she really is. And we all know that she was, the Trinity Fatu that we saw in TNA, betting on herself and becoming a top of the card world champion. Is interesting to see with Naomi, where she goes with this. I wanted this heel turn for quite some time, and I'm getting it, and I'm enjoying it. I am so enjoying it for her. I want to see where she takes her next level as a heel. I've said one thing only. I would have loved her in that promo. Nah, I'm not Naomi. I'm Trinity. This is who I am. I'm Trinity Fatu, and I am done glowing and out here trying to glow and make you people feel good where you didn't make me. I didn't receive that same glow and love from you. I'm going to proceed with caution on who I let in and trust, and it's about me. I would definitely like to see Naomi be the type to make that and say, I'm Trinity. My name is Trinity Fatu. This name Trinity outside of this company was big. I'm a champion, and I will continue to show what Trinity is, that world champion in this company. Definitely heel. Heel should be Trinity Fatu. Trinity should be the heel. That should be her name. Go to her name. Scrap the Naomi. Naomi's dead. Trinity. I that's the one thing I said about back in the early fall when Gemma was part of us before she went off to do her PhD, and she'll be returning shortly. So I can't wait to speak with Miss Gemma when she returns. And we talked about that. We would love to see a heel turn from Naomi, aka Trinity Fatu. And now she's got it. We got it, guys. We got it. We finally got it. Took a couple months. Now I want to see her now excel in the card. Don't just have her job out. Don't just have her put over talent. Enough of putting Trinity putting over talent. It's time for Trinity to get a top of the card run. It's time for her to get that top of the run card. I think that's time for her. Yes, I think, ladies and gentlemen, not just a tag team, as a singles, I think it's time for her to get that top card. I want to see it. Even if it's a short term, and if it doesn't pan out, you tried it. Give me 1 second. This is Good Morning Wrestling. Of course, I'm in for the host, Samuel Lyons. Samuel Lyon had a little bit change of situation, or couldn't something change the schedule. He'll be back on Monday. Of course, don't forget we have This Week in Wrestling. Let's talk some wrestling in This Week in Wrestling with myself, Chris, and hopefully Samuel will be able to join us on Saturday there as well. We'll definitely go over to the whole week of wrestling, but this is the morning program here on the Sports Jedi Network, Heal the Ring podcast. We wanted to do something different. Samuel Lyons, of course, He's our man out there in Lagos, Nigeria, bringing a morning show with all different things, talking about the world of professional wrestling, and of course in some entertainment and music from his beautiful country in Lagos, Nigeria, and of course most of his guests are from that part of region of the country. We are a Sports Jedi network that wants to expand, and of course Samuel bringing that his enthusiasm and love for professional wrestling and interviewing. So definitely this morning I am stepping in for him here to get the show going, because the stream was made, and of course most people want to watch it. People are invested. We want to be able to see Samuel, give Samuel a chance. So I said, you know what? Instead of canceling the program, I'll come on and like Stone Cold Steve Austin says, flab my gums a little bit here in the morning and talk a little bit about the professional wrestling scene, of course, for SmackDown, and of course, All Elite Wrestling Dynasty card. Yes, I did do an All Elite Wrestling talk. So yes, you got to go check it out. If you're tuning in late, I did talk about it. So it's, and I just gave my brutal, honest opinion on what's going to happen on Dynasty, who should win, and situation, how I feel about the build and all that other good stuff. So we will move on here. And of course, Roman Reigns is advertised to appear. I'll believe that when I see it. I believe that I see it because Roman Reigns again in Chicago. I'll believe it when I see it. Maybe this is where we get some clarity if Roman is with The Rock or Paul Heyman. Does Roman interrupt CM Punk? That's why I know that this is going to go on last. Now that I look at the card and Roman Reigns is advertised and Punk is advertised, that's why I think Roman and Punk will be the last two that are going to close it. Here's the one critique I have. Give it time. I want this to go around 10:20. 10:20, I need this to come out where even if they go to commercial break and come back, I need a good half hour of these two men. I don't want it to feel rushed. I don't want to feel that I'm going to get anxiety looking at the countdown clock. Although we know USA Network, if they need an overrun, the overrun will be provided, will given. But I don't want to go to that way too many times. I don't want to feel that nervousness. I don't want to feel that anxiety kicking in because are they going to run out of time or they're going to rush something? I want them to take their time, give it time. Give it time, WWE. It's a 3-hour show right now. For now, give them time, and I want them to take their time in there because I think the crowd is going to erupt for Punk, and I think they're going to want to one up the European crowd. And again, this is not for us saying I want the crowd in Chicago to hijack the show, but they're going to want to feel their presence felt tonight with their chants and serenading their second city saint, CM Punk. And Roman Reigns is going to get those cheers too. So it's going to be interesting how that dynamic gets played out between there. So with that said, we'll see what else happens. We'll find out what happens. Does LA Knight, here's another one, and I hate to be a little bit over the place. I'm going to ask this question. Does LA Knight come out or interject himself with the Strowman and Fatu match? If I'm LA Knight, I am nowhere near that. I am nowhere near that. You let those two kill themselves. Don't go on commentary. Don't even show your face around if I'm LA Knight. But knowing that, he'll do the opposite. Knowing that this is wrestling, he'll do the opposite. And because they're going to want to put this match or put these participants some way, somehow in a multi-man match at WrestleMania. And this is the build for WrestleMania. We got about a couple weeks here before WrestleMania, on the 2 weeks before to go. It's a lot of good stuff happening here. And a lot of people say they don't like the build. I think what people don't like is the way the European tour, because I think 65% of the audience were not able to watch in the afternoon when it was live. And I think since they weren't able to watch it live, I think they knocked the WrestleMania build because they had to watch it on replay. And now with the way social media spoils everything, I think they got a little bit of spoiler. They watched it, but they saw it with spoilers before. And I think it took away from that excitement, that enthusiasm, that aura that it has, the build for road for WrestleMania. And that's why I think a lot of people are saying that this build for WrestleMania is a little underwhelming. And because of that, I think that hurt it. Instead of helping the WWE with the European crowd, the chants, the atmosphere, the special time starts kind of hurt the US crowd to really feel like it's a build to WrestleMania. But here's the great thing about it: you got 2 more shows before we get to the go home shows, or vice versa. They have that chance to bring us in, reel us in, instead of giving us repeat stuff or stretching or prolonging. I think now with these last few, Minnesota on Monday, Chicago, they picked up some good cities. Although Sacramento's coming up, which some people say is not a good wrestling hotbed, or it is. Hey, listen, I think fans are excited to see wrestling in their towns. It'll be interesting to see how the build that happens here, especially tonight with the Roman Reigns CM Punk aspect. Will Seth Rollins show up? We don't know. Will Seth Rollins make an appearance? Because I know he's going to be on Monday in Minnesota, or would he just stay away? We will find out on that. That's a good stuff for SmackDown. So we're all in. We invite you to come watch us on the playback. I have the playback channel, Heal the Ring Playback, where the playback allows you to show the content while we watch along. Like when we have the watch along, here on YouTube, we're kind of restricted. We're not allowed to show. We're not able to. But if you come onto the playback app, you're able to see the wrestling with us. Yes, you're watching it at home. I understand that. What am I going to go there? I watch it at home as well. Well, here's the thing. We watch it and we react the same exact time on our playback. You could watch it and still have us on. Tune us in on playback on your phone, on your laptop, on your tablet. But here's the one thing. I want to have that instant reaction together as a fan base. I want to be like, if there's a surprise, oh, did you see that? And then you want to talk about it. You don't have it. If you're sitting and watching at home with the couch, the way you have a recliner, you talk there, you watch it. Who am I going to react to? The wall decors are not going to speak back to me. My dog is not here currently right now. And my dog will look at me and lick his ass and walk away. Here, at least with us on the playback, if something occurs or happens, we go talk about it. We react together. We're like, can you believe that? Oh my God, I didn't believe that. Or I can see someone say, I told you so. I told you this was going to happen. I want to see that. I want to react. I want to react together. I want to have that conversation with everyone, the way I have with Samuel in Lagos, Nigeria, with Jerome Peralta in the Philippines, with with some of the most of my people that have come on from the chat brigade, from Samurai Luther out in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm in Orlando, Florida. So you see what I mean? It's a worldwide where we could come together as a wrestling community from around the globe and talk about this and have that reaction as it happens. That's what I love. Or with Shaq Dan out in Brooklyn, he's looking, what's going on over there? And Chris out there in Pennsylvania, in the Hershey area of Pennsylvania, all that's great. Gemma in Chicago, we Canary out in Sacramento, Jay out in the West Coast. All those, you see, I love it because we got people from all over the different part of the country, around the globe, coming together, talking about the love we have for wrestling. That's what the playback does. That's what the watch along does. Yes, again, why am I going to watch along with? I'm watching the show. Why am I watching on a platform? Because we want to come together as a community to react and enjoy wrestling together. So we invite you tonight, SmackDown. Come check us out on the playback. We have a great program there. We get to see the wrestling. We get to hear it. We get to experience it. We get to watch it live. All the professional wrestling from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA wrestling. We had a great TNA last night. We got to see the 6-women tag where Fatal Influence, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix team up with Tessa Blanchard, taking on Zaya Lee or Lee Lang Lee, and of course Zaya Brookside and Marsha Slamovich. That was a really good match. The ladies worked extremely well. That was a hell of a 6-woman tag. We saw the knockouts. Kind of a number one contender, Spitfire, and of course Metaphor. The two, Jakara and Lash Legend. That was a really good match. I advise you to watch that. If you missed it, you could watch it. Either you could watch it on the playback while you get to. Actually, that's the great thing about a playback. You can watch the wrestling match and listen to our commentary while we do it. We're not doing collar elbow tie up. We're giving our opinions and having a conversation about the wrestling match while it's happening. Or you could watch it on the TNA Plus app. that's going to be available, then and I recommend that was a really good match. Very good match with the two women. Lash Legend and Jakara continues to grow leaps and bounds in the professional wrestling scene. Jakara Jackson, she just needs more wrestling bumps, more wrestling time on the mat. And the more hours she puts on that wrestling mat, the greater she's going to continue to get in a rapid pace. And teaming up with Lash Legend, she's learning the psychology of the comeback, the struggle, and all that. And that's good for Jakara. And Lash is ready. Lash is ready either as a tag team or singles. She's ready. I think she's ready. She's the next big thing in 2026 coming up, either for NXT or for Raw, SmackDown. I think, Lash Legend is one of those that are ready to burst the bubble of stardom. Yes, I know you have your Stephanie Becerra, you've got your Julia. Lash Legend has this big, strong obstacle of a wrestler, not just female. I'm not even going to put her in a box of a female. As a wrestler, she's ready to take that next step. She does good promos, and her wrestling, her physique, her aura is there now. Again, she's just now fine-tuning. She's in the fine-tuning or the sharpening phase of her career, in my opinion, when she gets to the main roster to get the sky's the limit and be a face of a brand for Lash Legend in 2026 and beyond. So and you know what? I'm proud to see her from level up all the way to 2.0 to now where she's currently right now. It's a pleasure to see both her and Jakara, as well as JC Jane with Toxic Attraction. To me, if you don't know, I live in Orlando, Florida. I have a real love and passion when it comes to the NXT brand. The NXT being part of that 2.0, it's going to be now 3 years being invested into NXT. It's been a short time, ladies and gentlemen, for me, but I came in 3 years. I always say this, and I say it again. I've got into NXT heavily, and I need to continue watching this. Was that Stand and Deliver in Dallas? That whole card hooked me, and ever since then, to the point where I started going to the Performance Center every week consistently, and watch all those 2.0 where people poo-pooed and disliked the 2.0 era. I enjoyed it because I saw the wrestlers grow into who they are now. Braun Breaker, Solo Sikoa, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Indy Hartwell, regardless if she's not with the company or with the company. Libra Valkyria, see the names, seeing them in person at the Performance Center, meeting them, speaking and, taking pictures, seeing them on the house show circuits all across Florida, from NXT Orlando, NXT Sanford, watching them going to those events and seeing them grow. It makes me feel as a proud fan to see them when they have the success on the main roster. I feel like I'm with them on that ride. If it makes sense, seeing them grow, I'm like, it feels a sense of pride. When I see a Carmelo Hayes taking on Cody Rhodes in his first match in Raw, it's a sense of pride. I met Carmelo Hayes and I met the guy named Christian, and they both different wrestlers, different personality, but Christian's a nice guy, awesome dude. Carmelo Hayes, excellent. They're the same person, but they're different outside the ring. And I never felt so happy to see him in that main event. Braun Breaker, huge Braun Breaker fan. That's my guy. If you watch Stand and Deliver 2 years ago, they used my promo on NXT Sanford that says, I go, they asked me who's going to win between Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker. They asked me, and I go, it's Braun Breaker. He's the future. And plain and simple. That was my response. I'm Braun Breaker all day. He's the future. And I always been a Braun Breaker fan. Right before that, I've been a big fan of his uncle and his father, a big Steiner brother from the 90s. That were my tag team. They were my favorite. And to this day, it's great to see the second generation of the Rothsteiners, Steiner brothers, excel in this business. And seeing Braun, I am a huge fan. I also respect the fact that he didn't take the Steiner last name because he wanted to be carve out his own path, his own path in this wrestling business. But man, you cannot need any more of identification. Just look at Braun. He looks like a young Scott Steiner. He looks like his uncle so much. I know you have his father, and of course, but he looks a lot like more like his uncle than his dad because he's built so muscular, like Big Papa Pump. But still, I'm a big Braun Breaker fan. It's always great to see the NXT kids excel. I call them kids because I'm an older guy. To me, they're kids. So the young men and women on NXT continue to excel. And what a hell of an NXT this Tuesday was. My goodness. Congratulations to Ricky Saints becoming your NXT World Champion. Great job there. The chants in the crowd with the Tony fumbled. Wow. I was like, ooh, hey, they're going to chant what they're going to chant. You want to agree or disagree if he fumbled or not. Right now, they're being utilized, televised, and people are being entertained by all the folks that didn't have an opportunity in All Elite Wrestling that they are in NXT right now. I have to ask that question. I'll ask that on the Let's Talk Wrestling tomorrow afternoon when I have Chris and Samuel on. I have a good topic about that, about NXT with the AEW talent. I'm gonna make it a little bit of a tease. Does that trump the young men in the roster that have been working their butts off, where you bring in the NXT, the ex AEW talent, and they jump the leapfrog and they become world champions? What does that do to again Tony D'Angelo run? I know Tony D'Angelo is the boss of or the Don of NXT, and you see he has that good job on him explaining who are the Dark State. But I wanted to, does that trump someone like him? What happens to a Miles Bourne, who everyone compares to Randy Orton? Or Charlie Dempsey, part of the company? What does that do to a Wes Lee? I know Wesley has been a North American champion, but not an NXT world champion. Does he get pushed a little bit back to the line? To wrestlers like that who let's face it, the men's division in NXT was lacking main eventers. For Trick Williams to, Javon Evans is there, but he's not quite there ready yet. Although they're giving him that main event push, but I don't know if they'll pull the trigger yet on Javon. Although Javon is growing leaps and bounds to that main event status, to becoming the face of the NXT brand as the uber baby face. Javon Evans is checking the boxes. Promo skills are getting much greater. I mean, my goodness, from his very first one, you can see the nerves in him. And now he's comfortable. Javon is growing each and every week. Of course, I'm not even going to mention Obafemi. Obafemi is on the top of the mountain. He is the top. He is the pinnacle. He is the king of the mountaintop for when it comes to NXT brand. And then Trick Williams is right there with him. But right now, I think Obafemi, because of the aura that he brings of, you don't want to mess with this guy because he will look like he will just rip your throat out of your esophagus. Just gives that slight edge over Trick Williams. Trick Williams, awesome dude. He's charismatic. He's an uber baby face. He knows how to get going. But then I hate the stereotype where people say he's just nothing but an entrance. He's not. Check his matches. Check his psychology. The art of the struggle. When he goes in his match, and people might get upset and say, why does Trick Williams, he's so big, why does he? Because he's trying to sell you that he does the art of the struggle. And the art of the struggle that doesn't get talked about by a lot of people, Trick Williams get it. He knows that you have to struggle in order to reach that mountaintop. The facial expressions when he's getting, regardless if it's against the shortest wrestler or the biggest, he shows you that face in his facials that he's struggling. He's getting beat. He's registering the moves of the wrestler, getting attacked. He's not no-selling. And people tend to label that as a weakness or not charismatic or whatever the case is. I think, to me, that's what professional wrestling is. No matter how big you are, you're going to have, no matter who you are and what walk of life, you struggle with something. And I think Trick Williams does that well. And I think people tend to stereotype him or make their own opinion based on that. I think Trick Williams is one of those wrestlers who is getting there. He's there. I think the remaining time he has in the NXT roster is going to help him. When he gets to that main event level, I think he is going to be pushed. The opportunities are going to get pushed, and they're going to give him an A's rocket pack, and he's going to excel. I think Trick Williams isn't going to look back when he reached that main roster. I think, he is going to be they're one of those wrestlers that people want to pay to see. But there is no rush for it because you still have Roman Reigns, you have CM Punk, you have, you still have a Cody Rhodes, you have a lot of top-notch main eventers still, and they're in their 40s, they're in their mid 40s. Got another 4 years before you could say, or 5 before they're done with the professional wrestling scene, and in ushers the new young talent. That's why, and I was a little worried with Braun. I was like, maybe Braun needs to wait a little more. That's why I was very encouraged last year when they did the Wolf Dog with Baron Corbin. Now, by the way, Bishop Dyer does a phenomenal job on Busted Open Radio. I am a huge fan. I'm not a fan of LaGreca. I think he's a condescending, passive aggressive, ass kissing douchebag. Sorry for the profanity or the words, but Bishop Dyer on that show, awesome dude, awesome. I love the way he as a co-host, he gets it. He has a knack for that radio business as a host. Awesome dude. I heard him yesterday. I was like, yeah, I need to hear some more Bishop Dyer. Baron Corbin, very good. I thought when they did the Wolf Dogs situation, I thought they were going to keep Braun as a tag team. I even said it many years ago, if Braun were to go up, Madcap Moss and Braun Breaker would have been a hell of a tag team because you could have made them like a Steiner Brothers. And I know Braun didn't want to run in the shadows of his dad and of his uncle. He wanted to be his own carved up, his own man. But right now you had two young men, fit, handsome men together as Madcap and Braun would have been a hell of a tag team, and they would have been dominating and trying to rejuvenate the tag team division for at least 3 years, whatever the case was, and then you could separate them where the main eventers started to get old and older and they were part-time or moving away from the company. Then you could usher in Braun as a singles, but they went this way. They know what they're doing more. They're the professionals. They know. I'm just a fan giving my opinion. And Braun has done excellent. Well, 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Picking up the mantle that Gunther had as the Intercontinental Champion, making that Intercontinental Champion matter. The way they trusted Braun to close out those main events in Europe, with the Intercontinental title, that the program he's in with Penta, his triple threat match on Survivor Series was another one. Braun is checking the boxes. And of course, wait until he takes that next level when he becomes a Paul Heyman guy. That's when Braun Breaker, the global takeover of Braun, begins, when he becomes that Paul Heyman guy, because it's inevitable. It's only a matter of time when Paul Heyman makes him his man, when he aligns himself with the next big up and coming with Braun Breaker. We know that's going to happen. It's going to be Lex Neville, and I think that's when the world title run begins for Braun, and I'm here for it. I'm excited for him as well, and so forth. This is the morning show, Heel of the Ring podcast. Good Morning Wrestling. I'm in for your host, Samuel Lyon. Samuel Lyon had a few things to do today, so I'm in for him. He gave me the hot tag, and I'm in taking over for the morning. Of course, I am BA Sports Jedi Kev, the co-founder of Sports Jedi Network, Heel of the Ring, as well. We do our watch-alongs, of course, where we do all different types of watch-alongs, from Yankees, Knicks, Rangers postseason coming up. Hopefully they make the postseason. Jets, Giants, of course, all professional wrestling. We do all the kind of UFC watch along. Of course, Austin, my son Austin, has a couple videos here. Check it out here on the Sports Jedi Network. If you're following us on any of the audio platforms, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, on Apple, please leave a comment, a review. A 5-star review will help us and continue to grow. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button and share, subscribe, help us grow. And you're on X, please follow us, retweet this, please, and come and follow everyone from the Heel of the Ring podcast, all the members, from Chris, from PGH Chris, from Dying Breed 18, that's Chef Dan, of course, with Miss Canary. Hey, it's Canary, the one and only Canary. Get better. I know Miss Canary is getting ready to go to WrestleMania 41, and she's going to have a great time and kill it out there and mingle with the wrestling community. For Miss Canary, I hope she continues to remember the Heel of the Ring crew, but I know she does. She always carries us in her heart. So Miss Canary, get better. I know you're getting ready, a little nervous with that trip with your physical condition, but we know that you're going to enjoy your time at Vegas. So I'm happy for you. I'm really and of course Samuel Lyons, new addition to the Heal the Ring Sports Jedi Network, of course. And please subscribe and share, of course, and many others. Miss Heather Wright, salute to you, Heather Wright, if you're watching us and listening to us. I wanted to give you a shout out always. And Tony 33, Tony, my main guy, Tony, who watches the Knicks with me as well as all the wrestling. So Tony, I wanted to give you a shout out, and everyone in the chat brigade, Kaylee. Kaylee Porter, salute to you, Kaylee, as well. Luke Samurai, salute to you. Appreciate you guys in the chat, always supporting and showing love, of course, as Nito, as Powerful King, as Transformer fan. Of course, Transformer fan always does a great job on our different watch-alongs and anything we do content related on our channel. Always a strong person. And of course, Shelly. Good morning, Shelly. Of course, Shelly Joe. Please follow her at Shelly SHELLEYJO8. Always a good person. Always does a great stuff. Always shares and like our content. Always is a good friend of the program. I wanted to shout her out because she is awesome. And, we're looking for female content creators on our channel. I'm opening it up in the morning. If you want to do a show, ladies' perspective. Doesn't have to. You don't need any male. If you don't want any male, great. If you want to bring two female co-hosts, talk about wrestling. I want to hear wrestling from the ears. I want to hear from my ears. I want to hear from the voices, from the sounds of the ladies. I want to see what they're seeing, what their perspective, their point of view, because we men get filled with testosterone or negativity, or don't see the more than out there. One thing about the females, you have a great sense of EST, of character, of stories, of seeing above and beyond. Sometimes men, we tend to get a little blinded. We get to see things sometimes with like horses with the stirrups, where they used to only see forward. You ladies have that gift to see above and beyond and see and calculate at the real time around the whole perimeter. And I really would love to have the female perspective on the wrestling community. I know Canary right now, due to physicality, her physical condition right now, we're going through some struggle health-wise, can't right now. Miss Gemma right now is on her way and getting her PhD, getting her career going. So it's taken away. But if your ladies have time, if there's a few women that have time, will love to produce and give you an opportunity to come on the Sports Jedi Network, have a show on the Sports Jedi Network. With creative ideas, you can reach out to me at bxjedi76@gmail.com. That's bxjedi76@gmail.com. Or you could DM me on X. You could, if you're hearing me on Instagram, because we are live on Instagram Live right now. If you're on Instagram Live, you want to do a wrestling show, willing to hear. I want to be able to help me grow this, because at the end of the day, we want to be one of those that get credentials, be able to send different people. If there's a premium live event or an AEW pay-per-view, TNA pay-per-view, and we have the credentials, because we just don't want to go there to mark out. Again, we're not asking for credentials to go and mark out. No, for that we do it here on the playback. We want to go and ask these questions from a fan. Go and be on part of the media scrum. I know the media scrum people poo-poo it and say they have their own thoughts of it. I will be able to ask respectful questions on the Heal the Ring and ask questions of what the IWC, like, simple. Hey, why, simple questions to Paul Levesque. What's the pivot? What's the game plan pivot here with the ticket pricing? Why is these ticket pricing outpricing the families of professional wrestling? Why can the father of 2 kids, 3 kids have to pick and choose or apply for a second mortgage to go to these WrestleMania, to go to these big shows, these stadium shows? They're uber expensive. How is a father, and now that you're cutting back on house shows and having lack of house shows, how am I introducing the young ones to the next and make them the next generation of wrestling fans if I can't afford to go and take them and have them experience and take in the live experience that I did as a young man, going to Madison Square Garden, being part of WrestleMania, being part of the first SummerSlam, excuse me, being part of the first SummerSlam, seeing the one where Macho Man marries Elizabeth and all that. It's all that pomp and circumstances, taking those memories. How am I supposed to install that to my grandkids, my kids, when I can't afford to get into the ticket? And if I could afford it, I'm going to be in so high up. I know they might appreciate the moment, but just think of it, if I could afford to give them something where they see the wrestler just pass by them in the aisle, but I can't because I can't afford it. Those type of questions. What are we going to do to help with alleviate the cost and allow the fans to come in? And I understand things are getting expensive. The arenas, venues to rent out are expensive and so forth. But those type of questions, that's why we would like to get credentials or interview a wrestler. Give me 20 minutes or 10 minutes of their time and have a conversation with a wrestler. Tell me, we want to find out what was their journey, their struggles in this business of professional wrestling. What made them persevere or want to be in this business and make it work? Those questions like that. Ask a certain wrestler, what are the pressures, the expectation of your being a second generation wrestler at home? Do you feel like if you don't become this, are you letting down the legacy or the name of your father or mom in the business? Those type of things. Not just, again, don't want to try to get credentials just to be there and mark out and go, oh, I'm here for free watching the wrestling. No, we want to be able to ask these questions. We want to be able to talk and have this conversation and not just geek out or fanboy or fangirl out when we see the professional wrestling. I want to talk to Damian Priest. I'm a man from the Bronx, same age probably as Damian Priest, from the Bronx, born and raised. We know what the Bronx was in our childhood. I won't give it up. I love my childhood, regardless of the fact that it was burned buildings and the crack pandemic was all over the whole city, where our baseball fields had crack bottles that we had to clean out before we played in our little league games. But I won't trade it. I had fun as a young kid. Those are my memories. Those are my childhood memories. I want to know the struggles that we had to overcome being from the South Bronx, being from the Bronx. Now look where you are, Damian. You ever thought you were going to be a grand marshal in the Puerto Rican Day Parade, being a person of Puerto Rican descent on top of the mountain, seeing you come out at that backlash in Puerto Rico where everyone was chanting, even you were being booed, but you were in the main event. People wanted to see you. How does that feel? How does that make you feel? Did you ever thought about that when you were sleeping in your car? What was your thoughts? Did you dream this? Because that would inspire another child, another person in the Bronx. When they say nothing good comes out of the Bronx, I give you Damian Priest, I give you Mike Santana. Those are the type of things we want to do here on the Sports Jedi Network. That's what we want. We want to ask these. We want to listen. We want to hear from you. We want to be inspired by your story. That's what we ask. We encourage. We ask any of these wrestlers, independent wrestlers that like to have a conversation with us. We are wanting to open that up. We want to talk as a fan. We're not professionals. We don't have any money to give you guys for the paid booking. We want your time. We'll value your time, and we want to be able to talk to you and have that conversation with you. We want that two-way talk. We want to hear from you as a fan, opening up, and we're going to be respectful. We're going to be very respectful. We want to hear from you. We want to know what motivates you out there. What makes you leave your country, come to another country without not knowing, the language well, the culture, the ins and outs, and make that to follow your dream. Like a Stephanie Burkere, el orgullo de Chile. Queremos saber qué lo que te hizo venir para acá y obtener este sueño que tú has logrado. Those type of questions we want to ask. Those type of questions we want to ask for Stephanie Burkere. We want to ask that to a Julie. How scary is it to leave? I remember leaving from New York to Orlando. The uncertainty. Yes, I had my family. I had my mother. I had my in-laws. But it still was an uncertainty. Leaving my home, my comfort, people that I knew, my job in New York as an electrician, or a company where I was set, number 2 guy in the company, to come to a city that I didn't know anyone. They don't know, from highways to streets, and now 20 years later, successful. Those type of things. And it's not the same as a wrestler, but those type of questions, like a Natalia. Love to interview Natalia. So yeah, that's the vision. And if you're a female out there, we would love to have that. We would love to hear your thoughts. We would love to have you hear your breakdown wrestling. Maybe you thought about the women's division, women's evolution coming up, part 2. We'd love to have 2 female hosts talk about that. Watch it. Heck, we'll love to hear them on the watch along, what they see in the live, their instant reaction, their reaction. Love all that. We'll love to do that. That's my mission statement, my vision. And we started off here, of course, with Samuel Lyon, with the Good Morning Wrestling. Samuel Lyon from Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, he might have that heavy Nigerian accent, or his guest might, but he has you know what? He has a passion, a dream of becoming a host here and hosting a morning show and entertain and talk about professional wrestling, the world of sports, and of course in music. He has a couple friends who has a little bit of a music career, and he's not afraid. He has no fear, and that's what we want. We want fans from a fan who has no fear, who want to talk about wrestling. And that's what we want to bring to you. Not just a watch along. We also want to be able to do some different program. Give us our thoughts, breakdown, reaction, or what's hot, what's not. The gossip stuff, if there's someone that wants to do it, that's fine. We have to be careful because there's a little bit of hearsay. Notice I didn't speak anything about the Andrade and Charlotte Flair opening up about her divorce. That's really her business. She talked about it, brought it to a public light. It's just, you know what? That's not an easy subject for people, for human beings, because you're admitting there was a disconnect, a failed opportunity, reunion of 2 people's lives, and I'll leave that alone. The same thing with Cora Jade and her guy, her now Harlem Lewis. They're no longer together now. Thea Hale seems to have been now dating Harlem Lewis. With Thea Hale was dating someone else on the NXT roster. I wasn't sure who she was. They was something with, she was dating someone else, but still at the end of the day, one, is none of our business. Be honest with you, when it comes to who's dating who's married to who, it's really none of our business, unless if there's like not even if there's a issue where the domestic violence, or again, that's between those 2 parties to deal with. But when it affects the in-ring ability or situation or push or in the company status, I think that's when it gets reported as a content creator. But it's really none of our business who they date, who they love, who they see, who they with. Be honest with you, that they're just same people outside of the ring as one of us. As soon as this stream is over, I'm a husband. I'm a father. No one, that's not for me to bring into the stream. Right now, you're here to listen, to talk to me about wrestling. I think when we watch these performers, we're turning on our streaming platforms, our television to watch them, or we go to the arena to see them as wrestlers perform from us, not who they're dating. That's just me. That's just that's the way who I feel, who they're dating, who they're not dating. And that's the way I feel about it. That's just my opinion, but hey, we'll move on there. So this is a great wrestling show here. Again, that's our mission statement. If you haven't noticed yet or haven't met us yet, that's who the Heal the Ring podcast is. We are a bunch of group of guys and women that have come together here on the Sports Jedi Network on the Heal, and we call ourselves the Heal the Ring podcast. We talk about wrestling. We interact as fans, as friends, from all across the world, all across the nation. And we come together to talk wrestling for the love of professional wrestling, for the love and respect and love for professional wrestling. And we come together here, and we have the Good Morning show. So Samuel Lyons not in tonight, this morning actually, and I am stepping in for him. Got in here, had a day off from work, so I came in here and I said, let me do a little morning show, talk a little bit pro wrestling. So let's go. What's your build here? My final one of the morning. My final one was when it comes to the WrestleMania build. We know night 1, the triple threat, CM Punk, Rollins, Roman Reigns. I know people are going to say, what happened to Gunther and Jay? Why are they not main eventing? Your undisputed world champion, Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Right now, it's star power. At the end of the day, it's star power. You're telling me, look, when you have I'm going to use Live Aid. If you remember, Live Aid is when all these great musicians came together to benefit and raise money. Not every act on that card could have been easily a main eventer that you would have loved to listen. But there was only one band that closed the show, and worthy of it. Doesn't mean that they're the greatest. They just were over the most. And it's about star power. And John Cena and of course your undisputed world champion Cody Rhodes is just a little more over of a star power right now than Jay and Gunther. Doesn't mean that the story picked up steam this past Monday. The yeeting is over, but right now in 2025, that's just right now. Cena's final WrestleMania trumps over those two gentlemen. No disrespect, guys. I am a big Gunther fan as well. I believe he's one of these throwback wrestlers that you like. Wow. And Jey Uso's over like Rover, but not to the point where you're gonna bump a Roman Reigns who's in his 10th main event WrestleMania. And this is Punk's very first. That's the story of this here. Punk's first main eventing of WrestleMania. And I know people want to throw it back and say, well, you're not meant to event. You got to be the last match on the show, and that's Sunday night. But that's the first. He's the last match of the first night, Act 1 of WrestleMania. WrestleMania is 2 nights. That's the main event of that night. He's still the main event. Still the main event. Still closing the show. And Seth Rollins takes no backseat for no one. Seth Rollins is one of the top pinnacle wrestlers of professional wrestling. Top 3 currently right now. If you want to debate that, you can. But Seth Rollins, his in-ring, his promo, his heel, he could wrestle the lucha style. He could wrestle the ground and pound. He could wrestle all different types for Seth Rollins. He's a fine tool wrestler who could go in with a big man or the luchadors and make a match a 5-star. That's Seth Rollins, regardless of the fact that you like him wearing funny clothes or not. He is that type of wrestler, and he is a main eventer right now. And strike while the iron is hot, because when these guys are no longer around, like John Cena won't be around next year, you're going to be lamenting that you wish you had them. So they have right now the spot of the main event. One, they earned it. They earned it for all the years they put in and all the sellouts and crowd that they pulled in. I think they deserve that honor to be that closeout for the main event. Doesn't mean that Jay and Gunther are lesser. No, it doesn't mean that Charlotte and Tiffany are not deserve of being a main event. The women, yes, they are great. That is a game matchup. But half of the internet community, you guys are stereotyping it that it's going to be a squash match or Tiffany's going to lose to Charlotte. So why would you want to put something that you are going to be negative about already? You're negative going into the build. You're saying, oh, Tiffany is getting cooked by Charlotte. Charlotte isn't good. Charlotte, I'm tired of Charlotte, the greatness hate that she gets, and vice versa. So why would you want that to be your main event if you're already propooning? You're already setting yourself up to have a distaste in your tongue, in your palate. Why? That's all I ask. So I'm glad they're not going to make that main event. That could be a co-main event. You could have a co-main event. Adapt a little bit from the TKO co-main event. Make that your co-main event for one of the nights. You could make Jay and Gunther an opening contest because you want everybody eating. You want everybody going crazy. You want everybody going bananas, berserk. That could be a one. Open up the show. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But then is another match that everyone, I don't know why everyone is downgrading or have a negative taste as well. It's the triple threat with Rhea, Io, and Bianca. Let me ask this question to the wrestling community. When has Bianca Belair ever put you a match that was not good? That was garbage. That was like, ugh, not. I'm waiting. You're none. Bianca, regardless of what program she's given, what match she's put in, who she wrestles, who she teams up with or doesn't team up with, always gives you a 5-star caliber or the best match. Whereas, she gets you on that emotional roller coaster. She's a very underrated, yes, professional wrestler in all of wrestling is Bianca Belair. Unappreciative what she does. She is so marketable when it comes to the young ladies. The strength of a young lady with the pigtails. Just everything from Bianca is uber superstar. And I don't know what's the dislike or the disconnect that they have for her. And I don't want to go on that lazy or that cheap cop out saying it's a race thing. I don't want to go on that one. I know people in England across the seas. I know the IWC in the American posting were saying we're kind of implementing or hinting on that. I'm not going to go with that. I'm not race baiting. I think, I don't know what it is because remember when Bianca Belair was your women's world champion, I remember people were turning on her already when she was champion. It's like, why does people don't want her to continue to stay on top of the mountain? They want to get there or tease, and then when she gets there, they want her gone. They want to pin. They want to quickly sweep the rug onto her and drop her back down. I don't know why, because Bianca doesn't come across as that condescending, boring, entitled wrestler. She's entertaining in everything she does. From her AOD, she could rescue the strong style. She could do the flip off the moonsault off the turnbuckle. She could do. I don't get what's the dislike for Bianca Belair. And then for Rhea Ripley, I understand maybe she's too much of in the main event, maybe a couple of weeks or a couple, but she was gone for a little bit and she returned. Remember when she had that issue with her orbital bone, and she returned back for Rhea when she came back with that mask. Maybe they could have gave her a couple of weeks more on there, out of sight, out of mind, a little bit for Rhea Ripley. But I still don't want to. I don't know get for Rhea why people are rolling their eyes with Rhea Ripley either. I don't feel Rhea. I guess you must think that Rhea is force fed, or is it just something for the IWC that just wants to complain? I think by the end of anyway, in that triple threat, I think Io Sky wins. I think Io Sky, the least of everyone's favorite or wants, I think Io retains. I don't see Bianca winning either. I don't see Rhea getting her title. I think it's Io Sky retaining, but I don't know why people are so disappointed on that triple threat. Oh, it's a triple threat. Why? These are your three best women. One of the three of the best women on this roster coming together in this match. Bianca does not never put a bad match. Io Sky is so damn innovative for the women in the ring. Genius of the Sky. And Rhea Ripley, you need your powerhouse. You need that cachet star power in this match. And although I'm not saying Bianca isn't, or I'm not going to say Io isn't, but you still need, at the end of the day, you still need a Rhea Ripley in this match for more than many reasons. And like it or not, and I'm going to say something that might be a hot take or you might get offended, but I think they want Rhea Ripley because she's Caucasian. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to say that. I know I apologized before. I'm gonna say it again. And you need. I don't know and that's what it feels like in 2025. Instead of moving leap forward, we're going leaps back. Why? What was wrong with having Rhea and Io? Oh, we couldn't have it. Why? What was wrong with that? But now we have to have the triple threat. I think that's where the wrestling community pushes back, but then it sounds like I'm contradicting myself because I said there's nothing wrong with a triple threat match with these women, but then I guess I'm playing both side of the fence. Why do we have Rhea? Why we don't have Rhea? Where at the end of the day, these women are going to get paid. All three of these women are going to get paid. They're going to be on the WrestleMania card. Let's enjoy it. At the end of the day, regardless who it is, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it there. When we have this triple threat, when we don't have when Bianca Belair hangs them up, we're going to be wishing we had a female talent like a Bianca Belair. The looks, the style, the passion that she has for wrestling. Tell me, she sews and does her own wrestling gear and her tag team partners wrestling gear. Tell me that's not love for her job, her craft. That goes unappreciated for a Bianca. Tell me who does that? Who does that love? So unappreciative for Bianca Belair. I mean, one of the treasures of professional wrestling, definitely there. And Io Sky. I mean, she's having the most fun that she ever had in her career on the main roster as well. And of course, Rhea Ripley is just uber talented. That's going to be a hell of a match. Tiffany and Charlotte. Again, watching Tiffany her 2.0 days, watching her come up, Tiffy time, watching her. Before the injury, when she went away before, and Tiffany has that, and Tiffany and Charlotte, I'm going to say something here. I don't know if they have that chemistry. I hate to say that. Everyone thinks it's going to be a hell of a match. I think I'll take the triple threat. If I had I hope I'm wrong. I hope neither one are the duds. I hope both these matches take the card and steal the show, where we're going to be like, damn, out of all the WrestleMania matches, the one Tiffany and Charlotte, that's next level. But I think personally, I have a funny feeling that's going to be the Jimmy and Jay Uso of this year's card. I think that's when it's going to be like, damn, a lot of hype, but the sizzle wasn't going to be there. I hope I'm wrong. And I'll be the first one to make a video and say I was totally wrong. But I think as of right now, it just feels like they're going to try something too hard. I hope that Tiffany isn't timid when she goes in the ring with Charlotte, and Charlotte doesn't want to just control the match a certain way, where Tiffany is so timid to obey that doesn't look sharp or looks a little wonky. I hope not. I hope Tiffany, with all the great coaching that she has had from NXT, from all the different coaches down there, she applies everything and just follows Charlotte's lead if that's the way it goes. If she's the ring general, and they put on a hell of a banger. But I'm a little concerned that she might be they might do a little over, where it's not going to look sharp. I hope not. I hope I'm totally wrong. I'm rooting for the best match of the night between those two and the women to actually steal WrestleMania, because when you have firepower like John Cena and Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, of course, then that triple threat with CM Punk and Rollins, that's going to be like, damn, those are the matches, Gunther and Jey Uso. It's going to be another one, especially if they have it like they did on Saturday night's main event. That match was great. As a matter of fact, I'm going to rewatch that match, Jay versus Gunther, for Saturday night's main event one more time. That was a really good match. Very good match. I hope they put something better. I don't know how they're going to top that, but if they give me something similar to that type of match where you go on that roller coaster of emotion, that's what I want for WrestleMania. And then the outcome, it is. Right now, the way I feel is 50-50 on that match. I hate to say that. I could put a case where I could see Gunther winning this match, retaining, and I could give you a case where they pull the trigger on Jay. I think right now, if you ask WWE Creative, they don't know. They're leaning a certain way, but they're not definitive on who's going to win that match. I guarantee they're not 100% definitive on the winner of that match between Gunther and Jey Uso. It's to me, that's why I say it's a 50-50 toss. They're going to think about it long and hard. They're going to spend the whole week thinking and debating and bringing pros and cons on both professional wrestlers. If they win, who goes on, what storylines will come out afterwards. Right now, they don't have a clue. I don't think they have a clue who's going to win. I don't think they have a definitive, not a clue. They have a clue. They have an idea. They have thoughts. But I mean, they don't have a definitive path that they want to take. Which one they're not for sure. We're going with this, damn it, and we're gonna book it this way. I doubt it. I don't think they do. Which is good. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong at all with that. So that's interesting. That'd be a great one. That's a good one and of course, Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. I don't know if Randy Orton will take on Kevin Orton because Randy Orton will take on Randy Orton because there's rumors that Kevin Owens is currently dealing with an undisclosed injury, that he might not be able to wrestle at WrestleMania 41 match. Might be putting that match in doubt. So I don't know. It's being reported as being, again, take it as a grain of salt. It could be something to add to the match, or it could be something taking us in a different direction. But as of right now, there's rumors that Kevin Owens has an undisclosed injury. We don't know if that's going to pull him out of the WrestleMania match card. The match with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens is in doubt. We'll see how they'll pivot. So that is breaking news here on the Heel of the Ring podcast. So we don't know what is going on with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Look, I personally would have loved them to have a no-holds-barred match where between those two, where the punt kick is now added, the package power driver is added. We'll see how they'll do the storyline tonight. If Randy Orton gets a hands on Kevin Owens, then we know that he's going to be out with an injury where he gets punt kicked and then he's out. So we'll see where that goes. As of right now, that is an unfortunate situation. Unfortunate situation that Kevin Owens might not make WrestleMania. And Kevin Owens, man, interesting to react to see there. Okay, so here's another thing. There's rumors that the Wyatt Six was supposed to be returning for WrestleMania with an angle, but that's not going to happen. I don't know what's happening in the Wyatt Six. That is one of the puzzling build or re-debut that has happened under the Paul Levesque era. If you want to talk about a fail or a disappointment in the Paul Levesque era, it's the Wyatt Six. Let me get a. I think that was a disappointment personally with the Wyatt Six. I thought the Wyatt Six could have had more of a better build or storyline wise. I don't know if injuries derailed it. I don't. Who knows what's happening with Alexa Bliss? Alexa Bliss not being at WrestleMania weekend now. Don't know if she's going to be in WrestleMania. There is some uncertainty when it comes to Alexa Bliss and all the other different type of start with the Wyatt Six. I don't know. It kind of worries me to see what the hell is going on with them. Interesting to see that. That's unfortunate with them. I don't know. No, they're not going to be in WrestleMania. The build is too short for them to interfere or do anything after WrestleMania. When do they introduce that? If they do, again, I've said this plenty of times. They should have done that around September. With the Wyatt Six debut, you were getting the spirit of Halloween, the spookiness, scariness, but they did that in July. But it is what it is. A lot of people were worried about them doing this and then leading to what we got now. And a lot of people's fears has come true when it comes to the Wyatt Six. Hopefully they can get it on track. But with that said, I want to thank everyone this morning. Thank you for allowing me to entertain you this 2 hours here on the Heel of the Ring, Good Morning Wrestling on the Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network. Of course, I'm in for Samuel Lyon, your host of Good Morning Wrestling. I am BX Sports Jedi Kev, of course, the co-founder of Sports Jedi Network. Please come check us out. Follow us on X at Samuel KPE7 on X, as well as me, BX Jedi 76, Dying Breed 18 for Chef Dan, of course. Please follow us, hit the like, subscribe, and share on the YouTube platform. Also follow PGH Chris on X, as well as Miss Canary. Please follow Miss Canary, Uncanny Canary. Please follow her, as well as PG Chris TV. Okay. And of course, Miss Untouchable Canary at Hey It's Canary. That's HEYYITSCANAY. And of course at Terrence. So please follow us, subscribe, and share. Part of the Heel the Ring podcast. All the other Heel the Ring crew member are in my bio on the video. So please like and also subscribe and share and support all the different other content creators that does wrestling that are friends to the program. Please, I wanted to give them a quick shout out as well because they like, share. Don't forget the Sports Coin. Of course, hashtag Sports Coin Network. Wanted to give them a shout out who does a lot of good stuff for us, who shares and likes and supports the Sports Jedi Network. So I wanted to make sure I give them a shout out because they are awesome with us. They do great things for us, and they of course in the Discord so Miss Marie Shadows. Please check out Square Circle Podcast. Miss Marie Shadows, wanted to give her also a great shout out. Does a great job with us. The PWF with Rican Reaction as well. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome as well. Of course, the Miami the Great, also another one, although he forgot to shout me out on his mentions, but I'll give him a shout out because he does retweet and stuff. Wanted to give him a shout out, although we'll love the same love back from him, but I know he might have forgot or whatever the case was, so I'm not gonna hold that this time against him. I'm the only kid. And all different other folks that are give us there. I want to pull up their mentions. I wanted to make sure I call them out by names before I say good afternoon or early good morning to everyone that's waking up. Again, thank you for supporting. Thank you for watching along. Thank you for the love and the support. I appreciate everyone. Of course, don't forget to check us out tonight. And we'll see you next time here. Powerful King, again, I wanted to shout you out again. He does some good stuff there. Ribs a lot of AEW, but he does a fun watch. Of course, check him out on X and everyone else. So with me to you, don't get pinned by life. Get over. Don't get pinned down. Don't give up. Never tap out. Continue to persevere. and enjoy the rest of the morning. We'll see you tonight on SmackDown, or if not, we'll see you next time on the Heel of the Ring podcast, whether it's the morning show or when Let's Talk Some Wrestling. But again, may the sports be with you. I'm your host, BA Sport, that's Jedi Kev, in for Samuel Lyons. We'll see you next time. Peace out.